Hey everybody, Dennis Yu here. You've probably heard me talk a lot about checklists and why checklists are important. And checklists sit in between content and software. People who are content marketers, they're producing information that says, how do you do something, right? The best articles that share your expertise. If you're truly passionate about something, then you have knowledge. You can't be knowledgeable without being passionate. You can't be passionate without being knowledgeable. So if you truly want to help other people and not be on social media because you want to be famous, then you're going to have your content in such a way that you're going to help people achieve a goal. And the best way to achieve a goal is with a checklist. If you know how to do something, how to set up a Facebook ad, how to drill someone's teeth, how to drive a car across country, how to book the best hotel price, whatever it is that you have knowledge about, you can assemble tips, which is one kind of content. You can do things like interviews of other people if you feel like you don't know quite enough. You can create something that we call a listicle, which is really just a list of articles, right? Like a top 10 list. An example of tips are like this. There's many kinds of content you can produce, but these are not the same as checklists. A checklist is not the same as a tip because a checklist says that you have a sequence. And so when you have a sequence, it means that there is a progression of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different steps, or it could be 10 steps, and each of them has a check box, right? So it could be the 30-item checklist that we have, which is behind our Quick Start package, which we think anybody who wants to be successful in remarketing or Facebook ads or Google remarketing, they're going to implement our checklist. We have a checklist for Google Tag Manager. We have a checklist for setting up Facebook ads. We have a checklist for personal branding, for content marketing, for how to set up your blog the right way, for how to optimize your Google Analytics so that you're tracking the right goals, right? So we have checklists on how to do things related to optimizing your online presence to drive more traffic and conversions. But you have checklists on how to do something in your subject area, right? You could be a consultant. Maybe there's a checklist on how you do the thing that you do, or how you run an agency, or how you build a particular kind of item, right? You have knowledge. That knowledge is going to turn into checklists, not tips, not fill in the blank sorts of things, but a logical sequence that's easily verifiable so that each of these items are SMART. Have you heard of the SMART acronym, right? Specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, time-based. So that you can actually check off if this particular thing happened or not. And if you have these checklist items, each of these things is called an item, specific enough, then you're going to have training that's associated with it. So you can imagine, like in one of our checklists, maybe here's how you set up a Facebook ads account, or set up Facebook Business Manager the right way, or implement a pixel, or how do you set up conversion tracking the right way. It could be whatever it is, right? And against each of these items, you might record a 3-minute video on how to do that particular item. Now, if that person, could be you, could be a student, could be whoever, if they know how to do it, they don't have to watch the training video. They could just go ahead and do it and proceed. But the best checklists are those where you explain things that you say all the time, right? I imagine that in your business, whether you're a student or you're a business owner, there are 4 or 5 things that you say all the time that you explain what you do, that you explain how to do something. Turn that to a checklist, because you already say it all the time, so why not just record it so you don't have to keep saying it over again? And then create little training tidbits that you load into the system, which you load into our dashboard for free. This is what we're going to launch a little bit later. If you want to hear more about it sooner, contact me, Dennis at Blitz Metrics, and you can start to play with this system, but you're going to upload your checklists. And these checklists are going to allow not just you, not just your staff, if you're an agency or a consultant, you want many people to be able to do this, so you're working on your business instead of in your business, right? Or you want to teach other people, teach students, maybe you are a professional speaker and you want to teach people how to overcome fear because you've overcome a particular situation, right? And there's a checklist that you have. You're going to step people through that so that if they don't complete a checklist item, or if the system notices that something's not done, then over here it can send a reminder to them saying, hey, this is Dennis and I just wanted to touch base on number 4 and I noticed you didn't get that done. Here's some tips on how to do that. The same thing is true with alerts, right? An alert, like what we have in our analytics dashboard, could come up if it says, hey, it looks like you've not posted something in social in the last week, or hey, it looks like somebody left a negative review on Yelp for your restaurant, right? That's an alert that says, hey, there's something you need to take care of, and then you go to a checklist on how do you resolve a customer complaint, how do you optimize a landing page that isn't performing, how do you do whatever, through a sequence of these particular items. Now, if you're going to teach these things properly, having a checklist loaded into a system, and the checklist being based on your knowledge and experience, which is what gives you credibility, that's what inbound marketing is about, which of course starts with personal branding. Let's say this is all here, that's not enough. You've got to deliver these documents in the right format. So if you're internal to Blitz Metrics and you're helping create checklists, let's talk about what the checklist of checklists requires. So the first thing you need is a guide. And the guide is a text-based representation where people can read. It's like a book. It could be 20, 30 pages. That's what most of ours are. Because they can sit there, they can read it. It's very text-heavy because it's not being narrated. They're just reading it. Some people, they learn better that way by reading. Other people, they learn better because of a video. And a video could be a pre-recorded YouTube. It could be something like this, like you're watching. And this is going to be image-based, images and diagrams, because you're going to have someone like myself or you yourself narrating your checklist. You're going to talk about how to do something, and you're going to go slide to slide. You might have a pre-recorded go-to meeting. You might do a workshop that you've taught where you might have slides in the background for your presentation. But the key here is you have images, and the text here is what you would have said in the training. But if you're giving a live, like a presentation or even video, you're not going to have it text heavy because they're going to be listening to you and the things that you have to say. Then, accompanying that, you're going to have a quiz, right? And the quiz is going to be making sure that they're paying attention, and that will be after they complete a particular sequence. A sequence could be a training sequence, it could be an implementation sequence, but whatever knowledge you have, think about that. What are the things that you stand for? Where have you had the most experience? Where have you had the most miles accumulated in your life so you can teach other people who have been through the same thing? Create that checklist against it. That checklist should then have a guide, a video, and a quiz associated with it. These items you load into the dashboard. That way anybody can learn from you on the thing that you know best about. Let's do one more thing and then we'll be done. If you have a guide on how to do content marketing, for example, then you're going to have certain portions. Of course, you have an intro, just like you learn with any kind of essay writing, and the intro says, why should you do this? Why is it important to do Google Tag Manager? Because why am I going to go through this whole checklist? Unless I understand the problem that I'm going to solve. Then you're going to go into the one-pager. And the one-pager is a one-pager, and it summarizes the checklist items. You're not going to try to cram it down to 3-point text to try to fit it on one page, but you're going to go over the key items. For example, we have our 30-item checklist, and it's got 30 items, 6 modules of 5 items each for 30, but it's not going to go into the fine little detail on each of these. Behind the one-pager, you might have 3 or 4 pages for the full checklist detail, right? And this is where you go through, here's item number 1, and here's some detail, and then a video associated with it, right? Here's another item, here's detail, here's another video. This can be embedded in the dashboard, but if they don't have the dashboard, you don't have the dashboard, you can certainly just create your own guide. We have a template for this that you can use. Just contact us for this. And then you have the next step. The next step, there's 2 kinds. There's do it yourself and there's done for you. Do it yourself means, hey, I just shared my knowledge based on all this experience, all the articles that I've written about this, funnel into this checklist, right? Every one of these pieces of content is demonstrating that I know what I'm talking about because I've implemented it, because I've interviewed other people that affirm this is the right way to do it. Just like our Facebook marketing articles, we have Facebook that's sharing this is how you do it. They come into the checklist, how do you set up your Facebook ads, for example, right? And then they go through this, they understand why it's important, why this way is the right way to do it. You're sharing openly your best techniques. You're not trying to sell them on anything. You're not trying to say, hey, this is what I got for free. Here's a $7 tripwire. No, you're just sharing all of it. And then at this point, they realize, yeah, I need to do it. I understand why. I see the proof because of all the articles supporting it and everyone else saying yes, the people who are high authority. If you're not high authority in an area, then you need to interview other people. So listicles are the easiest way, which is another topic. Right? We have a content marketing guide, blitzmetrics.cmg for that, checklists on everything. And then at that point, they can do it themselves. They see that there's a checklist, step by step, training on how to do it, but they may say, you know what, I really don't have time to implement Google Tag Manager. I'd rather have an analyst or someone else do it for me. In that case, you sell a package. And the package says, hey, I'm going to implement this checklist for you, and the price is $500. And by the way, we said that this thing should take, well, I'll change the number here. Maybe it'll take 15 hours if you try to do it yourself. But if we have students and they're 20 bucks an hour or whatever it might be, it'll cost 300 bucks. You could pay them. Then there's training and this other stuff built in, other kinds. But then right? Then you can have a package done for you. That way, if you share your knowledge, it's not like you're just giving away all your stuff because you're altruistic, even though you want to help as many people as you can. It's because some people who can't afford you, if they can't afford you, then just give it to them anyway, because they weren't going to pay you to begin with, right? At least you're able to help. It's not like it cost you anything. And then for those people that you want to work with, because you're creating your own business as a consultant, I think in 10 years, everyone's going to be a contractor. The idea of an employee isn't going to be the same anymore, right? Everyone has to build their personal brand. They have to have value. The 20-year job doesn't really exist except in the government, certain places, right? So you have done-for-you packages, and then you offer consulting or implementation packages, which you can build in the software, and you have automation. So this is why checklists are the key that tie together the building of automation, which is rules-based logic. That's what software is, telling machines what to do. And content, which is your experience, your knowledge, your know-how. If you're blogging and you're just creating random content, you're not doing the world a service, you're just polluting. You want to drive things in the checklist, but checklists have to be driven down to specific items. Each checklist has a guide, a video, and a quiz. You could record one thing and then have it transcribed so it becomes a guide at the same time, just like what we're doing here. And then a quiz where other people that go through your checklist, they write quiz questions against this. That way, you have education that is based upon implementation. So in partnering with the schools and partnering with other people that are executing so you can scale this, so you can be more than a one-person implementer, then your knowledge and your system is helping other people be able to implement. And as they implement, they're going to create content demonstrating that your process works. And maybe your process is rough, fine. Then they're going to give you feedback, and as people execute, you're going to make your checklist better and better. As more and more people implement the checklist, that's going to improve your software, improve our software. So it's actually a virtuous cycle, and that's what we're trying to do. We think that this is the connection between the education system and what happens in the workforce, and that's how you bridge the apprenticeship model. So if you have any questions about checklists, just hit me up, or love to see your reply in the comments. Thank you.